In sickness and in health, the phrase rolls easily off the tongue at the altar, gilded with romance and hope. Yet, as life reveals, vows are tested not in sunlight and laughter, but in darkness, pain, and hidden truths. Sandra and Mike had lived what many would call a charmed life, together for a decade with 3 children who filled their home with laughter. Their residence, in the high-rise part of town, was the envy of friends and colleagues alike. To outsiders, they were a couple who had cracked the code to happiness. A polished picture frame, shiny, secure, enviable. But life rarely allows a portrait to remain untouched. A car accident left Mike paralyzed from the waist down, his vitality stripped away in an instant. Routines dissolved, dreams paused. The family staggered beneath the weight of this new reality. Sandra, however, leaned into her vows. With tears and trembling faith, she stood beside her husband, convincing herself that love could survive immobility. Then the phone rang. A woman's voice, faceless and cold, whispered the kind of truth Sandra refused to believe. Her husband, bedridden and broken, had not been faithful. At first, Sandra rejected it outright. She had trusted Mike for nearly 10 years. Why let an anonymous stranger plant poison in her marriage? But denial is a weak fortress. Soon photographs appeared, then messages, then the final betrayal evidence in Mike's own phone. Bank transfers, intimate chats, exchanges of images. Not one woman, but many. While Sandra had been building their life, Mike had been feeding a secret one. The discovery did not ignite fury. It hollowed her instead. She wandered through her questions like a ghost. Was I not enough? What did I do wrong? When did this begin? But answers lay trapped inside the man who could no longer defend himself, and Sandra found herself alone in a silence heavier than grief. For 3 days, she disappeared. No explanations to the doctors. No comfort for her children. She walked without destination, ending up on a quiet stretch of beach where waves kept their own counsel. There she cried until her body ached, until her tears blended with the sea. And when her strength returned, it brought with it not peace, but resolve. She could not undo the past, but she could shape what came next. When she returned, Mike had survived his worst nights. He opened his eyes days later, fragile, immobile, tethered to others for his basic needs. Outwardly, Sandra was composed, playing the dutiful wife with the help of a hired nurse. But beneath the calm exterior, a plan was forming, sharp, deliberate, cruel in its simplicity. She gathered names. Every woman on Mike's phone, every lover he had paid or entertained. Then, one by one, she would call them. She would ask them not as rivals, but as caretakers to tend to the man who once sought their company in secrecy. And Mike, bound to his bed, would watch the consequences of his betrayal play out before him, unable to escape, unable to deny.